So, it's a bit weird that I'm remaking one of these videos, considering probably around maybe 2 years ago, I did make this. Man, the last few days at Essendon has just been absolutely ridiculous. As you guys know, I'm a pretty big Essendon fan. So today what we're going to do is we're going to go over what happened the last few days. We're going to go over this season in general. And then I'm going to offer a small rebuild in what I think Essendon should do moving forward, who they should target. If you guys want to see me do this for other teams, please let me know. But this one hits a little bit more considering this is my own grown team. Let's get into the video. Okay, so before we get into like the rebuild and what's happened the last few days, I think it's important to go back to season 2020. Now, this was the first season where John Worsfold and Ben Rutten were basically coaches together. Ben Rutten was like the game day coach, if that makes sense. So John Worsfold basically ran the week, and then on game day, Ben Rutten was basically the coach. I mean, John Worsfold did all the interviews, but Ben Rutten was ultimately the coach. So we go back then. The Bombers, 6 wins, 10 losses, 1 draw. This was the year that they had Joe Danaher, Adam Saad, Orazio Fantasia. We all know what happened there. They all left. It was a pretty hard year to gauge considering it was played outside of Melbourne. The Bombers actually did get off to a pretty good start this season, and then they tape it off near the end of the year. I mean, this was a pretty poor year for the Bombers. This ultimately ended up seeing John Worsfold leave as Ben Rutten was taking over the successor, and then we seen Ben Rutten fully take over. At the end of this season, the Bombers they were basically in turmoil back then. I mean, there was rumors that Joe Dano was leaving. He ended up leaving. Fantasia left. Adam Saad left, who finished in their best and fairest, I think, the last like 3 or 4 years. But season 2020, as I'm bringing this up because it was Ben Rutten's first year, their on-field performances were really, really poor. I mean, it was very poor. There was games that were just not competitive. They were smashed by certain teams. A lot of people will say this was the actual first year that Ben Rutten coached, so this is the reason I've included it. But there was panic signs then. So 2020, seeing Danaher, Saad, Fantasia leave. The Bombers finished, I think it was like 14th or 13th. So it was a really poor year, 6 wins, 10 losses, and 1 draw. Now, this season's really important in this base as we go to season 2021, which was a much brighter year for the Bombers. So we move on to season 2021, and this was a bright spot for the Bombers. They seen the emergence of Darcy Parish. Darcy Parish was inserted into the midfield by Ben Rutten, which was basically seen as an expert move. The Bombers finished 11 wins, 11 losses, and they were not projected to make the 8, but they did. The Bombers were actually playing some good footy. Jake Stringer was nominated for an All-Australian. Darcy Parish and Zach Merritt ended up making the All-Australian team. And I mean, a pretty disappointing elimination final, a half elimination final. Basically, I mean, if you get rid of that half of the elimination final where they were blown out, the Bombers were pretty competitive. Now, this really set a stepping stone for 2022, season 2022. There's a little bit of promise. The hype in the media was rising. I mean, Mick Malthouse even come out and said the Bombers were going to win the flag. That was never going to happen. Not Mick Malthouse was smoking. Someone please let me know whatever he's on, please give it to me. But the stepping stones were there. The Bombers made an elimination final. Matthew Lloyd did actually say the honeymoon period is over, and now the Bombers will look to win a final. I mean, it's been, 18 years since Bombers won a final? As we progressed to season 22, things were looking okay for the Bombers. They made a pretty good signing in Jake Kelly in the offseason, and I mean, all things were good with Ben Rutten and Truck. Now, Ben Rutten actually made some pretty good moves in season 2021. I mean, James Stewart went to defense. They brought in speedster Nick Hine. Cal Hooker had a really good year in his final season. I mean, things, like I said, were rolling pretty good. It finished on a negative note. I mean, they were blown out in that final. But, I mean, Darcy Parish, the rise of Parish, they expected him to take the next step. The youngsters, Archie Perkins, Nick Cox had a really, really good year last year. And, I mean, Zach Reid didn't play. He played 1 game. But, the future did look really, really bright for the Bombers for season 2022. And, I mean, what were the expectations? I mean, a lot of people may ask, may say, oh, well, they should have looked to win a final this year. We're going to talk about season 2022, but season 2021 was a pretty good stepping stone for the Dons. And I mean, I honestly did not forecast what was going to happen this season as we move into season 2022. So as it sits, the Bombers are currently, I believe, 15th on the ladder, 7 wins and 14 losses. Wow. What in the world? I mean, it's really hard to put into words. Round 1 really summed up the entire season. The Bombers rolled out against Geelong and were absolutely destroyed. I think it was like an 80-point game. The shining light in that was Nick Martin. He kicked 5 goals. But season 2022 has just been an absolute flood. I mean, what has gone on? I mean, we have seen the rise of players like Nick Martin. Sam Draper's had an okay year, but the Bombers have ultimately gone backwards. I mean, I'm an Essendon fan. I support the Bombers. They've gone backwards. Andy McGrath, I mean, where is Andy McGrath's position? Where are certain players on the list who shouldn't be there? I mean, as this leads into, I don't even know what to say about this year, to be honest. It's just been a complete downslide from last year. I mean, Nick Cox struggled to start the year. I know a lot of people said he was injured. Archie Perkins had a really good start to the year. He's really struggled. I know the Bombers did have a few injuries, but there hasn't been substantial injuries that you could say affected the team. I mean, who really has been out? I mean, Parrish has missed time. Probably Kyle Langford. But can you say he's really going to make a difference? He still has played 10 games. Jake Stringer, ultimately, has come back unfit again. It's happened like 3 years in a row. He gets to around 15 and he just looks unfit. I mean, he's had a couple of good games, but the problem is when you're not fit enough, you can't back it up every single week. I don't know what the standards are at the Bombers. I mean, we talk about season 22. That was just my quick summary. I mean, I could say so much more about season 2022. I want to know what you guys think in the comments. Did you see this coming? The Bombers just sliding down. I mean, I will say this, and I mean, this is what I believe. The expectations were a little bit too high. I mean, last year, the Bombers were predicted basically to finish where they are right now. They made the finals, they overachieved, and now everyone was expecting them to do a lot better, but they actually are finishing where they should be, I believe. That's my theory to it. I think the Bombers are around a 9 to 15th team at the moment, just how young their list is. But the expectations at the moment are so high from last year, it's really affected Ben Rutten. And that's going to lead me into these last few days as we talk about what is going on at the Bombers. Okay, the last few days, we're going to go through, we're going to talk about it. I'm going to give my opinion on it. I think it started on, well, let's talk about Sunday. Bombers roll out against, let's actually start last week against the GWS Giants. After a few really good weeks of football, Bombers rolled up to Sydney, looked disengaged, were absolutely dominated. They probably should have lost by a lot more than they did. Skill errors, turnovers. All right, we move on to this week. Expecting a response out of the Bombers. Now, I know they got nothing to play for, but neither did Port Adelaide. And the Bombers made Port Adelaide look like a top 4 team. They waved the white flag, I'd say 5 minutes into the second quarter. Skill errors, turnovers. And as the media is reported, if you guys look at all the media reports, they're basically saying, have the players just given up on Ben Rutten? There's been footage of Nick Hind where Ben Rutten's basically talking to him and he's just not listening. I think we're reading a little bit too much into that. Nick Hind was actually smashed in a big tackle. I mean, the media love jumping on stuff. But that performance against Port Adelaide really was a performance for like 2020 when the Bombers, when Ben Rutten was coaching with John Worsfold. That was what that performance looked like. No energy, no defense. They've got the worst defense in the league at the minute. But that game was really alarming. I mean, me as an Essendon fan, I turned that game off at halftime. I couldn't watch anymore. I was actually going to go and attend the game. I'm so glad I didn't because, I mean, I would have been gone at halftime as well because there's been many games this year I can sit there and watch. If they have a crack, they have a crack. But they just did not have a crack in that game. It was just pathetic. I mean, they met, like I said, Port Adelaide have had their struggles this year. They were both non-top 8 teams and they played like Port Adelaide were first and the Bombers were last. I mean, it did not make a lot of sense. Zach Merritt's been on AFL 360. As he said, we've a lot of talking. We haven't been really providing actions. We'll stop talking. I mean, that's the whole. I mean, to be honest, that's been like the whole backbone of the Bombers Football Club the last 18 years. All this talking. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. Gets to game day. I don't understand how you roll up to a game underprepared and no game plan. I mean, that's one thing it looked like on the weekend. We didn't have a game plan. Now, as people are gonna say, oh, Ben Rutten is a poor coach. Ben Rutten. Some people might say Ben Rutten's a poor coach. Ben Rutten deserves more time. I just don't see a game plan there. As an Essendon fan, I don't see a game plan. I mean, what if Nick Hind and Mason Redmond aren't running off the half-back line and Zach Merritt's not dominating the midfield, what do the Bombers fall back on? I don't know. Jake Stringer, in and out of games. He's in games for 3 minutes, then you don't see him for like half a game. It's just frustrating being an Essendon fan. Like, what is going on? So that leads us in, so absolutely blown off the park against Port Adelaide, destroyed. Leads us into Monday. First thing, our president resigns. What's going on there? Why is Paul Brasher resigning? Like, he has been really firm in his interviews to members and all that type of stuff, saying, oh, we're not allowing this, we're driving standards. It doesn't look like it. So Paul Brasher's resigned, and then there's been a report that Ben Rutten has been moved on. But we are Wednesday now, and there's been no news or nothing about Ben Rutten. What is going on? Like, what's happening at the club? Like, we need to know more. Like, is Ben Rutten fired? I mean, the club haven't... This is the alarming thing as a member. The club hasn't even come out and said, Ben Rutten's our coach, he's secure. They haven't even done that. They've come out and said Paul Brasher's been sacked, which was reported by the media. The media also reported that Ben Rutten was gone. So what is going on? Someone explain. Is Ben Rutten the coach? Now that leads us into Alistair Clarkson. Now there's been a lot of rumours that Alistair Clarkson will coach the club next year. We don't know about this. Apparently he's choosing between North Melbourne and Essendon. Personally, I think Alistair Clarkson's the man for the job. There needs to be standards at this club. I mean, there hasn't been standards the last 18 years. Ever since that drug scandal, they've really, I mean, it's been one of probably the softest clubs in the league. Zach Merritt said, I think I've heard this out of an Essendon player about 20 times. Oh, we're easy to play against. We don't defend. We'll do something about it. Like, I don't understand. We actually do look soft when we're out there, and it honestly does not. I don't get it. Like, back in the day, the Bombers were hard to play against. We're not a hard team to play against. Maybe Alistair Clarkson can come in and drive those standards. I mean, for me personally, so that I believe, as an opinion, I don't think Alistair Clarkson will allow Jake Stringer to come in unfit. I don't, like, if he's unfit, he's not going to play him. I feel like we need a coach who is going to demand something out of the players instead of. I like Ben Rutten, don't get me wrong, and I think it's really poor what the Bombers are doing to him, the club are doing to him, not coming out, because all reports is he's gone. The Bombers are moving on from him. He's very mellow spoken when he speaks to the media. I actually don't know if I can sit there and watch like another media press conference of Ben Rutten. He always talks about learnings, but like I said, it is really poor what the Bombers are doing to him at the moment. But me personally, I think we should get Alistair Clarkson. That's been all the rumours. I mean, if he goes to North Melbourne, he goes to North Melbourne. What can you do? Is Ben Rutten even going to be able to coach? Comment down below what you guys think. That's my little wrap up of the last 3 days. Our president's gone, smashed by Port Adelaide, smashed by GWS. Reports that Ben Rutten's gone. The club hasn't confirmed it or not even saying he's our coach. Is he going to coach this weekend to Richmond? Please let me know. I'm just going to go into like a 2-minute rebuild talk, what I think the Bombers should do next year and what they should do in the next coming weeks. It's not really a rebuild, but just what I think the Bombers should do next year. And then I'll give you like a projected lineup as we are heading to the last part of this video. So I'm not going to talk about delisting because I think that's like pretty poor for me to do in this rebuild little like segment. But I will talk about the players who should be traded, and I will talk about the players who may look for another destination next year, and then I'll look at some players I think the Bombers should bring in, and I want you guys to let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think. So we're going to start with trading. There's been rumors about Heppel. I haven't even spoken about this. The captain has been linked to Gold Coast Suns. Should Heppel leave? Personally, I believe Heppel should stay, just on the matter of the fact there's not a lot of veteran leadership there. If Michael Hurley retires at the end of the year, then the Bombers are going to be left with no one. So Heppel, I believe you should stay. Aaron Francis. I believe you need to trade Aaron Francis. You need to try and move on from Aaron Francis, even if it's delisting Aaron Francis or trading him. Braden Ham, trading or delisting. Like I said, I don't want to talk about delisting. It fires me up, but I've just put a list here. This is the list on the screen at the moment. I think the Bombers should look at either trading or potentially delisting. And then, I mean, let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think of this list. And then we're going to talk about the players the Bombers should target as we close this video. So I'm going to start with, this is the list here. I've started with Josh Dunkley. Josh Dunkley's at the top of the list. I just think the Bombers need an inside ball. They need someone in there who's going to get clearances. Dylan Shield does lead the league in center clearances, but I feel like a player like Josh Dunkley who can get the ball on the outside to Merritt, to Parrish. Dylan Shield can get on the outside. I mean, Dylan Shield on the weekend, I think he had 27 disposals for 31 meters gained. Like, how is that even possible? Like, just kick the ball 50 meters and it breaks that all up. Don't know, don't understand. Please let me know in the comment section down below. Josh Dunkley, go after him again. Go hard after him again. The last 2 seasons, they almost got him in the trade period. Didn't happen, but now go as hard as you can after Josh Dunkley. We go down. Jordan De Goey. I feel like Jordan De Goey is gettable. If Collingwood don't re-sign Jordan De Goey, I know it's a big risk with everything that's happened off-field, but, I mean, he's a good player. Bring him in. Imagine a forward line with Jordan De Goey and Jake Stringer down there. I mean, off-field, probably not great, but on-field, dangerous, very, very dangerous. And the Bombers need some more scoring power with Anthony McDonald, Tip and Woody leaving. And Cam, I mean, there's been rumors about Cam Zurhaar, so I've chucked him on the list as well. Cam Zurhaar would provide a lot. I mean, I feel like he is an inside. He could run through the midfield if he improves his tank, but man, he kicks goals against Essendon, so why not? Another player the Bombers should target. I think Essendon need a big defender. Now, they've got Zach Reid coming through, but he's going to take time. He's very, very skinny, and it's going to take time, man. That's what basically happens with these key position players. So I'll put a big defender on there. Try and go and get a defender. Please let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think who the Bombers should go after. And then finally, there's other players we could put down, but I'll put down Alistair Clarkson. The Bombers need to get Alistair Clarkson. He needs to come in. He needs to drive some standards. Something needs to be done. I think Heppel should stay on, but I feel like Zach Merritt should be our captain. Zach Merritt, Mason Redman, and Andy McGrath in our leadership group. 3 captains. That's it. A captain, a vice captain, a deputy vice. That is it. Mason Redman, Andy McGrath, and then you've got Zach Merritt. Now, I say Mason Redman because I feel like he is a strong, tough player. Get him in the leadership group. He tries his heart out every week, and I feel like Heppel just needs to focus on his footy, so have Dyson Heppel in as a veteran leader. I mean, we don't know if Heppel's going to be in the normal 22 every single week. But yeah, that's like a short rebuild of what I've really thought so far. I want you guys to comment down below what you guys think of this video. It's basically just a brief summary of what's happened, what I think is going to happen. I do think the Bombers will get Alistair Clarkson. If not, what is going to happen with Truck? All these questions. Comment down below what you guys think of the last few days and everything. I want to start doing more videos like this. We're going to talk about AFL. I will be getting into a proper rebuild. That was just my brief rebuild. But yeah, I just wanted to make a video, talk about what's going on at Essendon, what's happened the last few days. It's been crazy. If anything happens, I will make another video. But thank you so much for watching this, guys. I hope you're having a really nice day. Stay blessed. And I'll see you guys in the next video on the channel.